How we do anything is how we do everything. This week we go through our action principle. So let's get started. You know what? We're creatures of habit. How many times do we actually get out of bed the same way, get to the bathroom, brush our teeth with the same hand, sit at the breakfast bench, eat breakfast, jump in the car or the train, get to work, and by 9:30 that's the only time we're waking up. You know, we have this tendency to autopilot so much. And the reason why is because our brains are so good at learning patterns. It's so good at learning things that we do over and over again, so much so that it can execute it without us actually consciously knowing about it. And that's the brilliant thing about how we're designed and how we're created, is that our brains are amazing and absolutely incredible at learning new and recurrent things. And it's almost like having a computer that runs programs. And the more and more things that we learn, the more and more programs we're able to run. And the craziest thing is that we're able to run these programs in the background without us consciously knowing about it. And so it's almost like we can do things simultaneously and all at once and focus on one thing while doing lots of different things. So we're creatures of habit. But guess what? How we do anything is how we do everything. And we learn over a lifetime. We learn behaviors, we learn habits, we learn lots of things that we can commit to our hardwiring of our brain that eventually becomes who we are as people. And how it works is this, is that we have a habit, we have an action that if we replicate and do it over and over again, it actually becomes a habit. And that habit, then if we keep doing that, becomes a behavior. And if we keep repeating that behavior, it becomes a personality trait. And that starts to become hardwired and becomes who we are. So let me give you some examples. Let's just say you notice small details all the time. Chances are that you're going to likely be a detailed thinker. And you're going to be really good at doing things like crossword puzzles, or maybe things like doing puzzles, or even working in a project where detail is needed. Or let's just say that you constantly are a last minute type of person. You know, chances are that you're likely going to be running late to many things, but also you're likely going to be having lots of things you're going to be juggling around and likely going to be stressed and overworked. Or maybe it's the fact that you think out of a negative lens and you look out of a negative lens. And the chances are that the more and more we repeat that behavior, it starts to become a personality trait and we become negative people. But let's take another example. And that's how we look after our cars and how we service our cars. You know, how we service our cars is a great reflection of our decision making. And there's three different types of groups which I want to unpack here. The first group is the one where you see them pulled over on the side of the road. The smoke coming out of the engine bay. You know what I mean? When you jump in their car, the check engine lights are on and everything is a complete mess in their car. The second group is the one that actually services their car based on what the manufacturer says. So it's basically logbook servicing. And the third one is the people who actually service their car well before the manufacturer suggests that they should. But you know what? Each of these three different people reflect three different types of thinking that I want to highlight. The first one is reactive types of thinking. And reactive type of thinking is the group that's on the side of the road with a car that's really, really, really broken. Now, those are the types of people that wait for something to go wrong before they decide to do anything about it. They wait for things to go completely wrong and then want to put the least amount of time and energy into getting rid of the symptoms, not necessarily addressing the problems. The second type of thinking is the proactive group. And the proactive group is like the second group who services their car regularly according to the manual. Now, what we know is that they want to make sure that they get a great result now, and they want to make sure that the car runs well by servicing it the way it needs to, but also make sure that the car lasts into the future as well. But the last group is almost like that peak performance type of thinking. And that's the group which services their car way before the manufacturer would actually recommend they do. They'll be looking at the oil all the time and constantly looking to see if there's any specks of dirt or dust in there. And they'll change the oil. Or maybe they'll even take it to the mechanic and get maintenance checks done regularly, way before they need to. But those three different types of behaviors come from a different intention. And so here's my challenge for you. How do you look at your health? What's your level of thinking? What group are you in? Are you reactive in terms of your thinking about health? Are you proactive? Or are you seeking your peak performance? Whatever your group is, I want to challenge you to think about where you are. Now, my suggestion is that it's better for ourselves to be thinking about proactive and peak performance health rather than just reactive. Because reactive health will lead us on this yo-yoing type of effect with how we look after our bodies. Whereas looking at your health from a proactive point gives us a great result now, but also in the future as well. And the same thing with peak performances as well. It actually makes sure that we get amazing results now, but we're at our peak in the future. And the reason why this is important is because health is actually an investment. When we invest in our health, it's for now, but it's also for the future. And the reason why is because all of us want to live until an old, ripe age. Not because we want to be healthy for the sake of being healthy, but we want to be healthy so that our bodies are able to last the things that we want to do. Maybe it's the career goals. Maybe it's the family goals. Maybe it's as simple as being flexible and having endurance to run after the grandkids and the great-grandkids. Or maybe it's to be healthy, to have endurance, to be able to do that trek to Everest that you always wanted to do, but you never could when you had kids. Whatever your goals are, my suggestion would be this. Think out of health, out of a proactive and a peak performance window. Because how you look after many things in your life will also determine how you look after your health. So here's my challenge as we start to near toward the end of the year. Start to create a shift in your thinking. Start to address some of the behaviors that we have and start modeling those behaviors to reflect with proactive and peak performance outlooks. Because if we keep doing that and aim for each of those outlooks in every aspect of our lives, we'll actually live a lot more fulfilling of a life. And more importantly, we'll get amazing results with our output of life right now and in the future as well. So look, I hope this made some sense, and I hope it gave you some things to go home and have actually think about. But you know what, this concludes our last video in our wellness concept series. And I thank you so much for taking the time to watch all of the videos. And you know what, if you really, really like this series, like our video, share it out, and tell all your friends about it as well. We're going to be doing more of these series in the future. And yeah, just keep on board with us because I think you'll learn a lot. So take care, and I look forward to seeing you at your next adjustment. See ya.